How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to do a quick unboxing and overview of the LDRC 1803 model, which is the Honda NSX. There's different bodies you can get, well, different versions of this car. The original versions came with the AE86 body. The second one came with the RX-7, and the third one came with the NSX body. The newer ones that came out are the R34 GTR, which are metal die-cast bodies, which I'm not too sure if I'm a fan of that yet. I like this platform the most so far from what I've seen. It has the best chassis and everything, I think, to start out on and do any mods to, which I plan on doing. And the R34 body, even though I do love R34s, it's a metal body and it seems pretty heavy, and it's a little bit different than, say, these original 3 versions came out. And I want to start out with this platform first, and maybe I'll get one of those down the road. But yeah, as you can see, I got the gunmetal version here. It checks which one you have. So I guess they didn't have a row for the silver there, so I got the gunmetal NSX. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to see for the outside of the box. This guy in here. You can see the awesome packaging that these come in. So I'll show the car first and then the rest of the stuff. So yeah, this is how they come. It's pretty cheap packaging, so some might come a little banged up, or you gotta be careful, you might get scratches on yours too. I've seen other people have scratches on their car. This one doesn't seem too bad from what I can see, but I'll have to, inspect it a little bit better later. Yeah, when you first get them, the front end is gonna look a little wonky. They don't put the little pieces in here to bring the suspension up, so I guess just in case you want to drive around outside on your driveway or something, somewhere that's really bumpy, they leave those out. So looks kind of goofy, but once I put those in there and bring the suspension to normal, it'll look a lot better like that. But yeah, this looks pretty good. I got this one pretty much for 40 bucks off AliExpress. You can find them on a lot of different websites. I guess you can get them from Temu and some other Chinese websites, probably off eBay or whatever. But you really shouldn't spend any more than like 40 bucks on one of these with shipping and everything. If you are, then you're probably getting ripped off. So just make sure you shop around and you find the best price for one if you're gonna get it. I'd probably recommend not getting the first version, since there's a lot of changes and slight upgrades they made to them as they came out with newer models. This is the third version, because it's the 1803. The RX-7 I think was the second version, and the AE86 was the first version. But they made better versions of the AE86 that had the same little slight upgrades that came with the the RX-7 and NSX. So just look around and make sure you don't get one of the old models, unless that's what you want. But yeah, out of the box, this looks pretty good. It's nice and shiny, hard plastic. It's nice that they have the see-through clear glass that's tinted. Well, plastic, but looks like glass. Because I've seen the older ones were just like painted black. So that's nice that they actually look like real glass. And I mean, there's really not much to this chassis. It's pretty basic, little plastic chassis. The suspension's pretty basic. I mean, for what it is, it's actually pretty nice just for a little piece of metal, like a springy piece of steel they have in there. It's actually pretty nice for how basic it is, but I will be changing this suspension out to like some actual shocks. So I'll do a video later on upgrades, and the suspension upgrades will definitely be one of the videos that I'll make, because I will be upgrading that. But overall, it looks really nice. I have a bunch of upgrades I have planned for it. I've seen multiple reviews on these so far, and things that people have tried, and I have some ideas of what I want to try with this to make it drive better. But for like a beginner RC car, like RC drift car, this is a great platform to start on. It's a little bit bigger than, say, your miniz or like the wltoys, like K969, K989s, you know, those models. So this is 1/18 scale, and like this is one of my miniz's, and it's 1/24 scale, so you can kind of see the size difference, or 1/28 scale compared to 1/18 scale. So, but the miniz is definitely way more expensive than this guy. For what you get for the price, it's actually a really good deal. So I like to tinker and work on things and upgrade things myself. So this is a great platform for me to play around with without having to actually, you know, put a lot of money into. Just cheap upgrades that I can just do myself, and maybe 3D print some stuff too to add to the car. So I'll go through all that later on once I start driving it. But yeah, I guess I'll take this body off here and show the inside here in a minute. I'll just get this out of the way. The transmitter. This is pretty like toy grade, I would say, but I mean, it works. So I mean, I've seen a lot of people obviously have no issues with it. It gets the job done, but I will eventually be switching out to an aftermarket radio and receiver because I want to change, you know, a lot of stuff on here. So changing this out will definitely be one of the upgrades I do. But in the meantime, I will run everything stock, just to show, you know, how it runs and everything with the stock setup, and then eventually I will do videos on upgrading everything one at a time. So I'll probably throw some batteries in this in a second, and then turn this thing on once I get everything out of the way. Yeah, this is the grip for the transmitter, and then if you want to put this on the wheel here, it's another grip for that, and this is for the handle. So I'm not really worried about that right now. Get that out of the way. And then the other part, you can see how busted up this came like this. So yeah, it's pretty cheap packaging. A little manual, not much to it. So I'll have to go over that, make sure I didn't miss anything. I've seen people go over these already. If I forget anything, then I'll look back at this to remind myself. And here's the rest of the little bits and pieces that come with the car. The charging cable in here for the battery. So I might as well open this up right now. Here's the wing, so I'll probably swap out to this. I might even 3D print a different version, something that's more my style, but this isn't too bad. So there's that. This looks like the legs maybe to prop this up for the wing, and then the side mirrors, windshield wipers, stuff like that. All these little pieces you just break off and then snap onto the car. So I'll do that later, and then of course the tiny little side reflector lights. So I'll put those on later as well. So that all comes in here, yeah, and then little pieces for the side mirror, and then these are for the suspension. So I'll definitely have to put these on to lower the ride height, because that just looks ridiculous. Looks like, you know, going off-road in here soon with it. But I am, you know, impressed with that little spring in there. It's pretty good. So yeah, that's all that comes in the box. There's really not much, you know, else other than that. I'm gonna give you a little screwdriver, and like I said, this is for the battery to charge it, I guess, through USB. I have my own battery chargers and whatnot, so I might end up switching out the battery that's in here because it's a lithium-ion battery, and switching it to a lithium polymer, so LiPo battery, 2S, because it runs on a 2S battery. So yeah, so 2S 500 mAh. All right, so to take the body off, just unscrew these 2 screws in the back. I'll get this right. Okay. All right, so everything's plugged in. You got the servo for the flip-up headlights, of course, the lights, and then the tail lights. And these have functioning lights, so the brake lights, brighten up when you brake. It has turn signal lights and reverse lights as well. No fog lights or anything, just the headlights. I'll probably take off this plastic housing, so I'm not going to need that, especially when I start doing all the mods to it. But overall, I mean, for like a $40 like beginner drift car, this is pretty good. It's decent quality. Like, the plastic isn't too cheap. I really won't know until I start driving it exactly how I like it, but from what I've seen and everybody else that's been driving it seems to like it. And I know I'm a little late to the party here, but I wanted the NSX body, and this one didn't come out until, I don't know how, like a few months ago. So I kind of wanted to wait for them to come out with a couple versions first and get rid of some of the problems and issues from the first original versions. Seems like the R34 GTR diecast one has some new, like, different kinds of issues, because it's a really heavy body, and they kind of cut some corners in on some areas on the car to probably make up for the cost of having like a metal body. So, like, I think they took some bearings out and added bushings, and well, I think they did upgrade the remote on that one though. So that's another reason why they probably cut some of the better parts out to cut down on the cost. So I like this platform. It seems like the RX-7 and the NSX have probably the best starter platform, especially if you want to upgrade anything. Those are the best ones to really start out at. So yeah, I need to fix that front end. Probably have to disconnect all this so I can get this thing out of the way. I probably will swap out the electronics for aftermarket stuff, because I want to run an aftermarket receiver, and then I'll have to run an aftermarket ESC if I'm going to run a different receiver. And then, of course, one of the first upgrades that you have to do if you really want these cars to run great is upgrade the gyro, because the internal gyro on this thing is pretty garbage. I mean, it's doable if you have nothing else, like no other option, like you can kind of make it work, but they're really not that great. So upgrading the gyro is probably one of the most important upgrades you can do to this car to get it running the way you probably want it. So what everybody else has been finding out is that the DAS Micro V5 gyro is probably the cheapest and best one for this car. Like, if you're trying to save money and just try to stay as cheap as you can with this car, but make it drive as well as you can, then getting the V5 DAS Micro gyro is the way to go. You can get some of the more expensive gyros if you want. It might work better, it might not. It really depends on the whole servo and gyro setup you have, if they mesh well together, because you might need like a programmable servo with some of the better aftermarket gyros. So the stock one might do well, it might not. I've seen so far that the stock gyro, or the stock servo, does really well with the DAS Micro gyro. So it seems like a safe bet, and I'm going to go with that. And I also have some other cars I'm going to be testing with this gyro as well, so this is a good gyro for me to swap in between cars to, you know, test with and stuff. So you know, for 20 bucks compared to like 40 bucks, you know, I'd rather go that route for now. And we'll see how things go down the road if I want to, you know, upgrade more than that. But I think this will probably do just fine. I do have the V6 version for one of my other cars. I'm going to put it on my wltoys K969, this guy right over here. The only thing about the V6 is that you can't use it with the stock electronics on the LDRCs, any of the 18, any of them really that are running the stock electronics so far that I've seen. It's because you need a aftermarket receiver and a transmitter to be able to adjust the gains, because this one does not have a little dial on it to where you can, you know, adjust the gain up or down. Like the V5 has that little dial there, and you can adjust it from there. So I can hook this one up to the stock electronics and still am able to adjust the gain. Well, if I hook this one up to the stock electronics, it wouldn't work right because I wouldn't be able to adjust anything. So if you're, you know, wondering like what the difference is between these two, it's like you can't use this one with stock electronics. You can use this one with the stock electronics. That's why everyone's going with the V5, not the V6. But if you do just swap out the electronics for a better receiver and everything like that, you can definitely go this route with the V6 if you want. But ultimately they're the same exact thing. They just, you know, like I said, the only difference is you can't adjust one on the board like you can on the other. So just keep that in mind if you're gonna shop around for one of these little gyros, that you make sure you get like the V5 one if you're gonna keep the electronics the same, or if you just want to have the option to switch back and forth. I mean, the V5 will work with the aftermarket stuff or with the stock electronics, so it's nice to have the versatility of going back and forth. Just in case I change my mind and want to go back to the stock electronics, I can still use that one. So yeah, I'm gonna have to unplug all this stuff to take this off. I'll do that probably later off camera before I decide to drive this thing, and then I'll do a quick little video of it driving. But in the meantime, there's not much else I can really show you. I'm just gonna snap in these little clips to bring the ride height up, and then I'll do a quick little test drift, and just show you how it works with the stock electronics. And then after that, I'm gonna start jumping into the upgrades, throwing on the gyro, and then messing with the suspension. I have a couple ideas for suspension upgrades I'm gonna do for this thing. I have these little shocks that I'm going to try to make work. I might use like 2 of these on the back, and then maybe take the springs out and use the springs up front up here, because I'm going to try to increase the steering angle on this guy too. It's pretty good, but I'm going to see if I can try to max out as much as I can. So I don't want the shocks interfering with the wheels, or the tires, so I'll have to probably add the shocks up here and then make a little 3D print that goes to them, so I can get them to work correctly without interfering with the wheels. So once I do that mod and everything, I'll do a video on it and show you how I did it. But overall, it looks really nice. Everything bounces pretty smooth. It seems like the back is pretty smooth too. Nothing's really getting caught or rubbing too much, but I'll have to do a little bit closer look later after I get off camera and see if there's anything I'm missing. So, and I also have some other upgrades already, so like little things like changing out the hubs in the front from the plastic to the metal, just for the convenience, and also to help the front wheels spin a little bit better. So metal, you know, usually metal is better than plastic most of the time, not always. And I have some extra wheel cups here that because I'm probably gonna maybe mess around and hack them up a little bit, trying to get as much steering angle as I can. So I just got an extra set just in case I mess them up. And I do have some of these newer wheels and a different type of drift tires here. They're a little bit more rounded, and I'm gonna see how well these drive Depends on what surfaces, I guess, too. I'll mainly be driving like a garage floor, so I'll see how the stock ones do, and then I'll see how these do. I have a couple more wheels coming with some different types of tires. They have soft tires and they have hard, so I guess the soft tires are for racing, and then obviously the hard ones are for drifting. But I was curious to see exactly, you know, what they were like, so I ordered a couple of them. I mean, you can get these wheels with these tires for like $2–3 on AliExpress, pretty cheap. So, you know, just get a couple different sets just to have extras, because I might drive around on the driveway, on the concrete and everything too, so I want like a set that I can just tear up on concrete, and then have some normal sets that I can drive indoors on, you know, like wood floors and tiles and stuff. So it's good to have, you know, a couple different sets for different surfaces and whatnot. So I will go over all that once I get it all in. Let's do a quick test of turning everything on, and then go to test driving. Of course, I gotta unscrew this remote to get these AAA batteries in here. Yeah, so the remote takes 2 AAA batteries. Let's see. It's a pain to get these in here. All right. Okay, that turns on. I'm gonna put the body back on real quick and then turn on the car. Just make sure everything works. Okay. Not sure if I'm too much of a fan of screwing this on every time, but I mean, it's not too bad. 2 screws isn't the end of the world. I'm just so used to like miniz and stuff, just snapping the bodies on with clips. So yeah, I'm curious to see what other kind of bodies they come out for with this version, and if they're even, you know, maybe you can swap them out on these chassis. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. It'd be nice to have a couple different, you know, variety of bodies you can switch out, kind of like, you know, how the miniz are. Okay. Get that in there. Should have hopefully a little bit of charge still left in it. Okay. Turn the transmitter on. Turn this guy on. Okay. All right. At least that's working. It's good start. So yeah, each thing here, you got the little dial is for the steering trim, and then each button has a function for lights and the gyro gain and everything. So the A button is for the throttle. So I think it's like 25, yeah, 25, 50, 75, and 100% sensitivity. Actually, that's B. That's for the gyro. So the throttle, I think what I've heard was like 25, 75, and 100 maybe. For throttle, I think there's only like 3 levels. But for the gyro, I guess there's 4. There's off, then 25, 50, 75, and 100. And then for the C button, it should be the flip up lights. Nice. Seems like it's in the lower throttle range. Let me see. I think that's 100. Yeah. Huh. That seems like 100%. And then let me see if the gyro's on. Yeah, gyro's on pretty high. So let's see if we can lower that real quick. I might have turned it off, or that's 25%. Yeah, just turning it, I think you have to push B and C together to turn it off. So here's 50, 75, and 100. So I'll probably start out at either 25 or 50, see how that does first, and then see how crazy it is at 75 and 100. That might be way too much, really jittery. I'll keep it at 50 right now. So yeah, if I push B and C together, that turns off. So I push, you know, these two together for a few seconds, and that turns off the gyro. And turn it back on. And it's back on. All right, flip up lights. And then if you hold the C button, the hazard lights will turn on. So it's just in the back. And then brake lights. And then reverse lights. And then turn signals. All right, so everything looks like it's working as it should. So this thing's ready to be test driven. So I'll throw this thing on the ground. Like I said, first I'll fix the suspension, just snap the little clips in, snap on the little side mirrors and everything, all those little pieces. I don't really need to show you that on camera. I mean, it's pretty basic. You get the idea. So I'll do that real quick, and then I'll throw it on the ground and then give it a good test run. And then after that, I'll start working on the upgrades. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned something, and I will see you in the next part. All right, so let's do a quick test run with this guy real quick. I have a feeling it's not going to do very well on this garage floor because it's a little rough, so it might not be very good for drifting, but I'm going to try it anyway and see how it goes. As you can see, I added on the little side mirrors and the little GT wing. So let me show you the flip up headlights again. Keep those on. And the A button for throttle is actually for throttle rate, so like low rate or high rate. So it's really only two speeds, so like low speed and high speed. So I'll start out at low speed, no gyro on. So you can see no gyro. And then I'll just go through each setting as I drive around. So. All right. Yeah, it's either got too much grip or spins out. All right, let's up the throttle rate. Make it probably worse. And it probably does a lot better on hardwood floor or tile. So this is not the best floor to test on, but it's all I have at the moment to test it. So this just gives you an idea on how it might drive on like your garage floor. All right, let's put the gyro on. I think it's in low setting. I think it should start in low setting. We'll see how it looks. It's a little bit better, but still kind of chaotic. It's overcorrecting like really hard. I don't know what setting it's on. Let me see. Seems like it's on high. Okay, let me lower it. Let's see what it's on. That one higher. All right, so that should be like 25%. Yeah, it's really grippy on the floor, so it understeers, and then it'll overcorrect itself too much. When I finally do get it to turn, it'll want to spin out. All right, let me try lower rate. And there's not enough. Let's go 50% gyro, higher throttle. All right, lower throttle rate, 50% gyro. All right, 75% gyro. Low throttle rate. High throttle rate. Super jittery. It's like it'll grip hard and then it'll just like completely spin out too, so it's really hard to get that in between. So if I got too much throttle or not enough throttle, if I don't have enough throttle, it'll just grip too much. If I do too much throttle, it just spins out of control. All right, so let's go full gyro, full throttle rate. I guess full gyro, low throttle rate. A little bit more manageable. But you can see those front tires are just going crazy. This internal gyro is not great, but also the floor is not really helping me out either, so it's hard to really get a good reading on how bad everything is or how good anything is. So probably like 75% gyros, 25, 50, 75, plus low, low throttle rate is probably the easiest thing to do. I don't know, it's still tough to say. I gotta play with it for a while. I'm still gonna upgrade this thing right away. I'm gonna upgrade the suspension and put the DAS Micro V5 gyro in here and then see if that helps it, and then if I can't really drive on this floor, I'm gonna have to switch to like hardwood floor, set it up somewhere indoors and just see how it does in there. I just want to do a quick run out here in the garage and, you know, just see how it performs. But yep, that's basically how it's going to run if you have a similar floor to this one, with a stock gyro, stock setup and everything. So thanks for watching. I will have some upgrade videos coming up soon for this guy, and then I will see you guys hopefully in those videos. So see you later.